Ever pondered on this? Does the God of the Bible exist? And if so, why does he allow so much pain? Imagine, if you will, a world of staggering beauty and complexity, a world filled with life, love, joy, and wonder. But in the midst of all this beauty, there's also pain, suffering, and evil. Seems paradoxical, doesn't it? This is the existential question that has been confounding humanity since time immemorial. The existence of God, particularly the God of the Bible, juxtaposed with the prevalence of evil and suffering in the world, creates a poignant conundrum. A conundrum that we'll attempt to explore and unravel today. This question isn't just about philosophical musings or theological debates. It's a deeply personal question that resonates within each one of us. It's about our search for meaning, for understanding, for answers. The debate is as old as the human ability to question and reason. It's been pondered upon by philosophers, theologians, scientists, and laymen alike, each with their own perspectives, their own interpretations, their own answers. And yet, the question remains, why would an omnipotent, benevolent God allow pain and suffering? Could it be a test? But then, why would an all-knowing God need to test us? Could it be a choice? But then, what kind of choice is it really, when the alternative is eternal damnation? These are some of the questions that often arise in this discourse. Today, we delve into this enigma. We'll explore various viewpoints, analyze different interpretations, and maybe, just maybe, inch a bit closer to understanding this age-old paradox. Remember, this isn't about finding definitive answers or establishing absolute truths. It's about deepening our understanding, broadening our perspectives, and perhaps finding a bit of solace in our shared human experience. It's a profound question that's been debated for centuries. Today, we dive deeper into this enigma. God, as described in the Bible, is omnipotent. But why would an all-powerful being test us when he already knows the outcome? This question lies at the heart of what we may call the Omnipotent Paradox. The Omnipotent Paradox presents a conundrum that has confounded thinkers for ages. If God is all-knowing and all-powerful, why does he need to test his creations? He certainly doesn't require any additional information. One perspective suggests this is about the concept of free will. Some philosophers argue that God's omniscience doesn't negate our freedom to make choices. In other words, God knows the outcome because he sees our decisions before we make them, not because he predetermines them. This is the view of Molinism, a philosophical theory that reconciles God's omniscience with human free will. Another perspective, found in process theology, posits that God's knowledge is not exhaustive. God knows all possibilities, but not the actual future. This means that human beings have genuine freedom and God's tests are genuine tests. Then we have open theism, which argues that the future is not set in stone, even for God. In this view, God does not know the future exhaustively. He knows all possibilities and probabilities, but does not know with certainty what free creatures will choose to do. Thus, the tests are genuine. And finally, there's the more traditional, Calvinistic view, which maintains that God tests us, not for his own knowledge, but for ours. God's tests serve to reveal to us our own hearts and to refine our faith. Each of these perspectives provides a different lens through which to view the omnipotent paradox. They grapple with the tension between God's omnipotence and our free will, between divine foreknowledge and human choice. This paradox has puzzled philosophers and theologians alike, leading to myriad interpretations. The Bible often portrays a violent relationship between God and man. Why is this so? Now let's take a moment to delve into this question. Throughout the Bible, there are numerous instances of violence, often involving divine intervention. From the Great Flood in Genesis, where God wiped out nearly all of humanity due to their wickedness, to the plagues of Egypt, where God inflicted 10 calamities upon the Egyptians to force the Pharaoh to free the Israelites from bondage. These violent episodes are not isolated incidents. They are an integral part of the narrative. One might argue they're used to demonstrate God's power, his wrath against sin, or the consequences of disobedience. Others might see them as metaphors, not to be taken literally, but to illustrate moral lessons. However, these interpretations can lead us into a theological conundrum. If we consider God as all-loving and all-powerful, why does he allow such violence? Why does he not simply eliminate evil, rather than resorting to violence? This paradox is often referred to as the problem of evil, and has been a subject of intense debate among theologians and philosophers for centuries. Some theologians suggest that God uses violence as a means of discipline, much like a parent disciplines a child. They argue that these violent episodes are not acts of cruelty, but rather They are tough love designed to guide humanity towards righteousness. On the other hand, skeptics might argue that these violent episodes reflect a more primitive understanding of divinity, where gods were seen as capricious and wrathful beings, rather than benevolent deities. Regardless of your viewpoint, it's clear that these violent episodes in the Bible have profound implications for our understanding of God's nature and his relationship with humanity. They challenge us to reevaluate our perceptions of divinity and morality, and they force us to confront the uncomfortable question: can violence ever be justified, even when it is supposedly for a greater good? These violent episodes raise many questions about God's nature and his relationship with mankind. Believe in God or burn in hell? Is this the choice mankind is presented with? This question propels us into the heart of a theological conundrum, one that circles around faith and punishment. The concept of faith, in its most simplistic form, is a belief in something unseen, unproven, and yet profoundly influential. It is the cornerstone of spiritual life for many, a beacon that guides us through the fog of uncertainty. Now imagine you're standing at a crossroad. One path leads to belief, to faith, to acceptance of an all-powerful deity. The other, well, it leads to doubt, to questioning, to the rejection of divine authority. The choice seems straightforward enough, right? But hold on a minute. What if this choice comes with a caveat: believe or face eternal damnation? Suddenly, the decision becomes a lot more complex. The idea of punishment, particularly eternal punishment, is a contentious one. It raises questions about morality, justice, and the very nature of the divine. Is it just to punish someone forever for a finite life? Is it moral to create beings with free will and then penalize them for exercising that freedom? These are questions that have puzzled philosophers, theologians, and thinkers for centuries. Herein lies the crux of the matter. If God is all-loving, why this seeming ultimatum? Why not guide us gently towards faith rather than threaten us with eternal fire? Is it because he wants us to choose him out of love rather than fear? Or is it a test of our resolve, our loyalty, our faith itself? This supposed choice, believe or burn, is not merely a theological debate. It's a journey into the deeper recesses of our beliefs, our fears, and our moral compasses. It's a question that invites us to examine the very fabric of our existence and our understanding of the divine. This ultimatum, as some interpret it, further complicates our understanding of God and his intentions. As we navigate this complex terrain, let's remember that at the end of the day, faith is a deeply personal matter, shaped by our experiences, our insights, and our individual journeys. We've delved into the depths of the problem of evil and the existence of God. What have we learned? We've embarked on a journey through the existential question of whether the God of the Bible exists, and why, if he does, allows so much pain in the world. We've navigated the stormy seas of omnipotence and omniscience, asking why an all-powerful deity would test us when he already knows the outcomes. We've explored the tumultuous relationship between God and man, pondering over the violent history recorded in religious texts. We've questioned the nature of this divine parent-child relationship where the ultimate choice appears to be belief or eternal damnation. We have not shied away from the paradoxes and complexities inherent in these questions. We've grappled with the problem of evil, a conundrum as old as philosophy itself. The question of why a benevolent, omnipotent God would permit suffering remains a poignant and powerful challenge to faith. We've highlighted various viewpoints, interpretations, and theories that attempt to reconcile these contradictions. Some suggest that God allows suffering to test and strengthen our faith. Others propose that our limited human understanding can't fully grasp the divine plan. We've underscored how the violent relationship between God and man can be perceived differently, depending on one's perspective. From one angle, it might seem harsh and punitive. From another, it could be seen as a necessary process of growth and evolution. We've also examined the notion of the ultimate choice. Is it truly a choice between belief and damnation, or could there be more to this divine ultimatum? Is it possible that the choice is not about belief in a deity, but rather a choice about how we live our lives, how we treat others, and how we engage with the world? While the debate continues, one thing remains clear. This question touches the very core of human existence and our understanding of the universe.